Welcome back to another episode of The Wi-Fi is Out with your two hosts, Eros.
And Double T.
Same as always. Recently, a new game has come out called Palworld, which has been sweeping the gaming industry recently. Like, the amount of people playing it consistently is in the millions.
It's also insane. Why we've been gone.
It's also, why we've been gone, taking a little bit of a hiatus in a sense. Because we have been nonstop playing that every weekend since it's come out.
Restarting like 5 times.
No, we only restarted a couple. I mean, so the first weekend when it did come out, the developers weren't expecting the amount of like incoming traffic to their servers, so we had a couple issues on the first day. The second day was a lot better. Still had a couple, I think, like little disconnection issues, but I mean, that's a new game. It's going to happen with a smaller indie developer.
Yeah.
But it has been just a fantastic time playing it. The base building has been the highlight, in my opinion, of the game. That's been keeping me the most like attached to it. As well as the breeding for like different abilities and traits and stuff.
It's not that fun to me. All my pals keep getting broken with everything I do.
I want you to know, everyone, that he says this, and he's also been nonstop playing it. And every time I hop on, he's like, "Oh, we're playing? Okay, cool, let me load in." He enjoys the game a lot more.
I can complain.
You can complain, but you still like the game.
Yeah.
One might say you like it even more than certain other games, but we'll see.
No.
So, for the base building, I think they did a pretty good job. It feels, in a sense, kind of like it resembles Ark, where it's very simplistic base building. You can't terraform anything. But they allow you to essentially stack objects like walls and stuff to kind of in a sense, terraform your area by building like foundations and stuff to kind of make stuff a little more flat, which works out pretty good. They allow us to have a maximum of 3 bases at a time versus what I thought was going to be 4. So we're a little more conservative with our items and our space, but works out for the best for now.
That might get upgraded if they add more levels.
That's what I'm assuming, or at least I'm hoping we'll be able to get 4 or 5 or 6 bases per guild. Because obviously if me and Double T split up and weren't in the same guild, we would have 3 bases each versus 3 total. But then I can't interact with his bases and vice versa. So there's really no point in not being in the same guild to make the same amount of bases and be able to like work at the same time. So hopefully that's something I would like to see added, is like the ability to add a slider to adjust how many bases you can have as you level up your total bases. So for servers that have like 32 people, you can set to like 2 or 3 bases per guild. Versus us, where it's just 2 of us, we can have it to like 10 bases per guild, so that we can have 10 bases in total, and just use some of them as just waypoints. You know, something simple like that. More PAL storage, no Pokemon PAL, would be kind of nice. Have you gotten a favorite PAL that you like the most?
Yeah, my little Daisy.
The little Daisy I see flying around everywhere.
Yep, she gets to fly with me. So it's, if I could nickname anything, she would be called Popcorn.
They're working on it. To be fair, Xbox or Microsoft has said that they are working more closely directly with the company that made Palworld so that they can get updates out faster. It's just taking them a little bit of time to get all the paperwork finalized, which is corporate lingo for like, we're taking a little bit, you're just going to have to deal with it, which is whatever. So far, mine is menacing. That scorpion is so freaking cool looking. It doesn't do anything besides just increase my defenses when it's out. And I mean, I guess I get more items from electric pals, but it just looks dope as heck. But I've always been a scorpion fan, like even Skorupi. I don't like Drapion as much from Pokemon, but I do like Skorupi, so menacing kind of reminds me of that. We've technically gotten to endgame, so you're level 50, now I'm level 43, so I'm a little behind you, just because I've been focusing more time on, like, breeding for perfect pals to run our bases and stuff.
Plus, I cheated.
I mean, yeah, but we're at the endgame anyway. The only thing I haven't really, because I've essentially completed the pal deck, aside from, like, one that only spawns at night that I just haven't bothered to go get because I don't care for it. You can't egg breed or anything. It's the Hengyu cyst or whatever. It's the ice form of the two-armed guy. You can only get him at night in the ice mountains. I could probably get him an egg, but you can't like breed him. So which kind of sucks, but meh. One that's a boss that's just slightly above my level, and then the legendaries. That's pretty much where we're at, just getting the legendaries, which are pretty neat. They have them marked on the map. They're level 50. We still have to do a couple of the boss towers, you know. Some simple end game stuff. But map exploration has been great, especially with the fact that they do layer around lower level bosses, starting from I think 11 is the lowest level, like alpha or whatever they call it. I think it's alpha that you can fight, and then it goes scaling all the way up to 50.
I do hope they can come up with something unique instead of the pals just being bigger. So
I mean, yeah, I get you. They definitely seem to have new abilities that they wouldn't have otherwise. So it seems like outside of either leveling them up to learn moves, feeding them fruit to give them new moves, because any pal can learn any move if you give them the fruit. It seems like these ones just naturally have some of those moves, which is really the only thing outside of them just being bigger, yeah.
I'm more talking about their luckies.
Yeah.
I think they just have to get shinies in the game.
I like luckies, honestly. I like that they come with a special skill. They're bigger, so they stand out more. And they glow. Plus, they have the actual, like, noise that Arceus gave us for a little bit, but then they took away after Arceus. I like that now Palworld has that to show people, like, how nice it is to have that noise, so you're not just looking around for everything. I mean, I get you. I would like them to be more, quote-unquote, shiny, where they just have the different color change, but I like that they glow. So, not on top of the noise, you can also visibly see, like, that's the one. Not have to, like, oh, I hear the noise, but there's 10 of them. Which one has, you know, the slightly different eye color?
Oh, yeah, if they do that, then that's just a failure.
Yeah, which I don't think they would. I think if they were to go the shiny route, they would give them full different color changes. But on the off chance, for certain pals, they gave them just like, oh, this one has slightly different fingernails or eyes or, like, a different nose.
Oh, that would actually be cool.
What?
Instead of just copying, like, Pokemon, they actually changed the designs of them. So
oh, yeah, okay.
It's Pangolin, the penguin, but he's more puffy.
Okay.
So he looks like a penguin getting ready for winter type of thing.
Okay, I can see that.
That would actually be cooler than just cop.
They just have,
shiny.
like, a slight body change. Like, they still keep the glow. They still are bigger. They still make the noise, but then just have, like, a slight body change that makes them look a little bit different. Like, Incineram, give it, like, slightly bigger horns that maybe look a little different or something.
Yeah. Because, like, Temtem just did the color change, and it's like, that's cool and all. But it's like, actually giving him different models would be a lot cooler.
Different physical traits. That'd be dope. I think that would be a better idea than doing the different, like, the color change. I think that might be a little better. On top of that, I will say it feels nicer to play Palworld, because each pal has, like, its own job specifications where it's like, oh, this one's really good at planting and transporting. This one's really good at kindling and electric generation. So it actually makes collecting each pal feel better, and you're not necessarily, for the most part at least, just having the same pals all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you can actually, instead of just having, like, obviously we do, to some extent, have the thing where it's like, oh, this pal's, like, Yormentide Ignis is literally just the best kindling pal. But in a base where, you know, you need kindling, but you also need, like, transporting and seeding and stuff, you, instead of using just Yormentide Ignis, you end up falling back to, like, a Vanworm or something that's really good at kindling and transporting. So he can do different jobs when you don't need him to, like, create ingots and stuff. which has been really, really eye-opening in the sense of, like, creating a survival base building style game that allows you to actually use the pals that you capture in your base so that it just automizes all the boring stuff that you would have to do anyway, but instead of you doing it, it's just your pals, and you can go explore the map while they're doing 500 different things. I like it a lot more. It's a better way to automate base building than to just be like, oh, well, if you build this sprinkler system, it'll just auto sprinkle all your stuff.
Yeah, that's why we need more bases, because there's more required minerals than we actually have.
There's also just more required functionality. So right now, our 3 bases, we have our ranch base, which has all of our breeding stuff. Wheat farms, berry farms, 2 ranches that allow us to get milk, eggs, and honey. It also has, like, the main building base system that has a lot of our storage. It has our PAL combiner. I forget what it's like, duplicitor or whatever, where you can combine pals to make them stronger, which takes up a lot of space. Then our second base is our iron base that basically is just set up with mining pals and transporting pals to get as much iron as we can. And then our third base, which is the one Double T has spent the most time working at, has been the production base, which is all like your conveyor belts to make pal spheres, high-grade armor, high-grade weapons, coal collection. So if we had more pal bases, it would be nicer.
Because we also need sulfur and crystals.
Yep. Sulfur and crystals. It'd be nice to be able to split the breeding portion of the ranch base from the farming portion so that I could have more, because you have to fill up 2 of your slots guaranteed with each one with a pal specifically designated to breeding, which takes up your slots, rather than just having them in like their own secondary storage. So it'd be nice to be able to take that portion and put it in a separate base so that I have, pals that are dedicated to just farming stuff, and then also a separate base that are just, these pals are specifically to breed. I don't have to worry about it. They don't take up the 20 slots that we have. Because you can exchange, you can have up to, at a maximum, 20 pals per base once your base is max level, which is a lot of pals. But right now I've got like 2 dedicated to planting, 2 to watering, 1 to the cooler, 2 to kindling, 4 of them to breeding. Like, you fill it up pretty fast. Is there any other changes you would like to see?
Back to base building.
Yeah.
My problem is, like, Anubis is mining level 3, handiwork level 4, but he seems to be focusing on the mining too much.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. So it does seem, just to preface this, it does seem like whatever their higher level job specification is, like, for example, handiwork level 4, but then mining level 3, they'll focus the higher level one. But in Double T's case, they're just focusing mining.
Yeah, so it'd be nice if you could assign, like, hey, you're the pal sphere worker, you're the weapon worker. So anytime that I have work for this section, you come do it. That's your first priority.
Oh, yeah, give us the ability to go to individual buildings or machines that we have, like a ranch, or a breeding chamber, or breeding pen, or the weapon workbench or something, and be able to go into a menu that allows you to select what mons you want to work where and how high on a priority chart it is.
Yeah.
So that Anubis could still, work on the sphere bench and mine and gather, but you want him to prioritize the sphere bench over mining or gathering, so he always does that first. Then when that's empty or inactive, he then goes and does the other things.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. I'm hoping we can get something like that, because that would be extremely useful.
And it'll help less break my pals, I think.
Yeah, your base so far has been the only real one to have a lot of issues. with pals just not acting correct. We figured out some of it's been pathing because you have adjusted some things, but
they like to hang out in the logging trees and then just teleport back to the pal box.
Yeah.
And then go back to the logging trees. And
so I have been thinking about that actually since we've talked about it. I'm wondering if under your base, if like coal spawned under the map, so the pals can't get to it, but they're trying to, so they're just standing there waiting.
Yeah, but it's Love Anders and Anubis. Like, it's two of them.
I mean, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. The Love Anders, I believe, are supposed to be gathering the wood from the logging thing and taking it to a box.
Yeah.
Because they do that. The Anubises might be doing the same thing, where they're just waiting to grab a piece of wood and take it over. So they're prioritizing that over mining, because that's that's transporting. I don't know. I think if they gave us the ability to assign specific tasks with higher or lower priority, that would get rid of a lot of those pathing bugs. Because right now it's all just automated. You just put them in and they kind of do their thing. You can lift them up and throw them at a task, which assigns them to that task. But I've noticed that if you teleport away from your base and then come back, sometimes they'll bug out and they'll stop doing that task. So you have to reassign them, which takes more time. And overall, it's just a little tedious. As for changes I'd like to see, I think right now I'm good. I mean, obviously, I would love to see more pals. I would love to see more pals with different typings. Like, you can get Incineram and Incineram Noct, which the Noct form is just a dark version and with different coloration and different strengths. But overall, it's the same pal as Incineram. It just has a different look. And that's about it. But it's cool. It's nice to see.
I think we actually need to go up. What's the number of pals?
I think right now I've seen 136. And I think there's only 2 pals that I haven't seen yet. So I think it's like 138.
We need to get to like 300. The map, I see too many of the same pals all over the place.
I will say the exterior of the volcano area doesn't really spawn a whole lot of stuff. At least it did in the first while. I don't know if it's changed since then because I haven't really needed to go to that area.
Yeah, but the problem I have is you go to one volcano spot and it's all the same fire pals.
Yeah.
So
they
need to make more to make the map feel
more alive, more unique in certain areas, so you don't go.
Because the map is huge.
The map is insane.
It feels tiny with the amount of pals that I keep finding.
I would also they did 3 protection areas. What would that be called? When it's an area designed to host an animal or a couple animal species, like an endangered reserve.
Yeah, sure.
Reserve, yeah, there we go. An animal reserve, we'll call it that. They have 3 of those where you go there and there's like some bodyguards that walk around, the in-game police. And now if you catch too many pals there or you start killing too many, then you get like a threat warning and you start having them come after you. And it's where like the rare pals are kind of stored that are either high level or just really hard to find. You can't get them outside of breeding or whatnot. I love those. But I would like to see more of them, just because with the way the map is, there's so much extra space just in the water, and nothing spawns in the ocean. Like, you can go out to the middle of the ocean and literally nothing will be. It's just empty space. So I'm hoping they'll add either more islands there or more of those like reserves there with new pals. Be like, oh, here's like some new legendaries or some new like what we would consider like a pseudo legendary like Yormantide Ignis in my opinion, where you can only get it through a certain egg in a certain location, or breeding it with itself, or catching it in one of those special areas. So that'd be kind of cool. But that's really the only thing for me. I mean, other than that, I really like it. I mean, maybe give us some more building, like some more decorations. We have a lot, but there's other decorations they could add, like closets and stuff that you can just like actually open. They just are there for looks, not for storage.
Yeah, outfits. We need to get like more outfits.
So the way we were kind of talking about, or at least the way that I think would be the best, is as you kill certain, or as you eliminate certain pals.
Kind of like Monster Hunter.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter. You beat the pal, it drops specific materials, and you have a chance of getting some of the rare materials. And then you use those materials to create armor or weapons that are themed around that pal.
Yeah, I think definitely more weapons. It would be a lot funner. Funner? That's not
more enjoyable, a lot more fun.
More enjoyable to have weapons, like melee weapons.
Like, our easiest example off the top of my head is like Catris. You can create the hat through a blueprint that you can buy, and the hat is just, it looks exactly like Catris's like hat with like the ears and whatnot and the fluff. All it gives you is darkness resistance level 1, but I would like to see like a weapon that's themed around her that's like a pair of like cat gloves that you fire like a shadow ball from to do a dark damage. But then also be able to get like Catris's like dress kind of outfit for your character that gives you like dark resist level 2 or something, you know? But do that same thing, but apply it to every single pal, giving you like at least one themed weapon that either has to do with resource gathering, crafting speed increase, or some sort of like offensive thing that gives you like an ability that you can use that, like, oh, you want to do fire damage, get this, it gives you fireball, then you can throw fireballs. But then basically have each pal drop you like a basic version of their material, a rare version of the material, and a legendary version, and then you have to get the rare and the legendary versions to make stronger versions of their armor and weapons. I mean, it's a lot of coding, it's a lot of work, but it'd be fun. It would allow you to play in different styles and change up your team. Because now, if you're doing like a fire build, and you have like the fire armor that like increases your resistance to ice and stuff, and you can shoot fireballs, you're now going to want to theme your entire pal team around increasing your fire damage. So you'll have a full fire pal team, and it would just look cool.
I have a whole electric team.
Yeah, have oh my goodness, have Univolt. Like Univolt's instead of like gloves, it would give you like an actual horn that applies out of your character. Yeah. But then you can summon a lightning strike down. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Or I was thinking like a sphere with his horn at the tip.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could just do like a sphere and use it as
spear.
Oh, a spear. I heard sphere like a mage's thing that you would then cast spells out of. A mage's focus. But I think that would actually be a really good quality of life change that would increase the like longevity of this game. But also that's a lot of coding and a lot of work to do. But I think they have the overall ability to do so. Was there anything else that we had that we were like, as we were playing, we're like, the dungeons, I think the dungeons are great, but it doesn't really feel like there's any need to do them, and there's also no good way to be like, oh, this is the next dungeon that I should do based on my level, unless you physically go to it and look at it, and then it tells you the level.
So dungeons?
Yeah, so dungeons. With dungeons, like, you just kind of stumble upon them, which I like, because you know, it gives you something to, like, just explore the world, and you happen to find them and do them. I've done a few. I think they're interesting, but I don't really think they're worthwhile after, like, early game, they feel a little dangerous to do, because you don't have good weapons, your pals are pretty weak, and late game, you don't really need to do them. At least I haven't done any high-level ones. I guess we'll have to try some high-level ones at some point. But they don't, at least the low-level ones don't really give you anything. You go through them. You got a couple pals, like the squid pal. I keep forgetting its name. Calamari, I think is what it is. The only time I've seen that out in the wild has been in a dungeon, so there might be specific pals that are only going to be dungeon-based going forward, which would be nice. Force you to kind of do those. But they don't mark them on the map. You just stumble upon them. You have to mark them yourself, which is, you know, whatever. There's already a lot of stuff marked on the map. I mean, that touches on kind of the majority of my gameplay perspective.
I think I basically have the same, like...
Yeah, like...
We've gone through, like, the constructive criticism I have. Yeah,
the constructive criticism. Like, honestly, overall, great game. Yeah. I recommend everyone to play it. even if the game didn't have like guns and stuff, like that violent sort of portion, I still think it's amazing. Like, it's genuinely a fun game. Oh, I did have one more thing I'm hoping to add. So, right now you can't do PvP between players outside of just raiding bases and stuff, but you can't like do a formal challenge duel. So what I'm hoping they'll do is they'll add PvP where you can like I could go up to Double T and challenge him to a battle with my PAL team. But instead of it just being where we're running around, firing at each other free fire, I would like a turn-based combat version. So it benefits you to have good moves,
I figured out something else.
What?
The bosses. After the first two, they're a little dull.
Which bosses?
The bosses. The ones that ride on pals.
Oh, the tower bosses.
Yeah.
Because I still assume the alphas are bosses in my mind. So the tower bosses.
It would be nice, since as players we know you can have pals that like follow you around. It would be nice if a boss focused on all the pals that follow them around. Be nice if a boss focused on, I'm the one that uses the pals as weapons, so he pulls out like the Pangolin, uses its rocket feature, pulls out the Firefox and uses it as a flamethrower.
Yeah, actually, where they actually cycle through a set of pals and you don't just have... I like that each one right now has just one pal, so it's like their signature one.
That could be like their phase 3.
Yeah, going forward, if they could do something like that. Because it would also be nice to have the boss arenas be different. I would like a bigger boss arena fight, just so you actually I have to jump up on this cliff to reach them because they're over here, It doesn't have to be insanely... It doesn't have to be like a full, continent-sized map. Just bigger than the little circle we have with, a couple pillars that I'd bind. Just so it gives a little more life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good thing to bring up. I didn't even think about that. Like, having different bosses that actually use the pals. That would be a lot better. But overall, I think that's about it. I think that summarizes up our feelings on it. Anyone who's even slightly or remotely interested in it, I recommend giving it a shot. Especially if you have Xbox Game Pass, you get to play it for free for the remainder until it's off Xbox Game Pass. And I mean, on Steam, it works great. You can actually name your stuff on Steam. As of this current moment, we can name stuff on Steam, and we can't name stuff on Xbox, so we're still waiting for that update. And with that, we're signing off.